I used to be a 5.0. That was back when I smiled at strangers on elevators, gave glowing reviews after every transaction, and made sure my online photos had the right filters. Back then, I mattered. Or at least, the system made me feel like I did. Now, I'm a 2.6. And falling. You don't need to commit a crime to lose your score. You just need to hesitate. Be late for work a few times. Get flagged in a conversation. Say something the algorithm doesn't like. It's not even about people anymore. Your rating is determined by predictive sentiment analysis, emotional expression matching, and 100 other invisible threads. You don't even know what you did wrong until your privileges start disappearing. This morning, I couldn't enter my office building. The gate scanner flashed red. Access denied. Insufficient social rating. I laughed. I actually laughed, until I saw everyone looking away from me, like I was diseased. That's how it works. One person drops and the herd abandons them. You don't want to associate with a low score. It could drag you down. That's when the panic started. I checked my score again. 2.6, that's borderline critical. If it hits 2.5, you're flagged for re-evaluation. Re-education. Nobody knows exactly what happens in those centers. The ones who go don't come back. I walked home through the city with a glowing red badge over my head, projected by my own phone. The HUD tags everyone now, names, ratings, recent interactions. Some parents pulled their children away when they saw me approaching. My feed was flooded with disconnections. Your friend has removed you. Your rating is too low for this interaction. I couldn't even order food. The app denied my payment. And then I got the message, you have been flagged for behavioral analysis. Please prepare for collection. Collection. They don't even hide it anymore. I didn't go home. I couldn't. My apartment door had already revoked access by the time I reached it. That's the thing, your rating is tied to everything. Housing. Employment. Transportation. Health services. I had just enough score left to enter public zones, but not for long. I sat on a bench outside the metro station, watching my reflection flicker in the glass. The AR interface blinked my name, ID, and score in red. People walked by pretending not to notice, but their eyes scanned me through their implants. I could hear the silent calculations behind their expressions, how interacting with me might impact their score. I tried calling Ava, my sister. No answer. Then my boss. Denied. Even customer support sent an auto-response, your rating is too low to request human assistance. I wasn't a person anymore. I was a liability. I dug into my coat pocket and pulled out a card, an old one, the kind people used to write on. Just a name and a number. Lars. Digital sanitation specialist. He'd given it to me months ago at a conference. Said he dealt with data cleanup. For when you need to vanish from the system, he joked. Back then, I laughed. Now, I had no other choice. I dialed the number. It rang once. Then twice. Then a voice. You're calling earlier than expected. I blinked. You remember me? You're on every alert list now. They'll come for you soon. Can you help? There was a pause. Meet me in 2 hours. Old metro station, line 7. Abandoned since the riots. Come alone. And don't bring your phone. The call ended. And suddenly, I realized how loud the city had become. Every screen. Every ad. Every person's rating flashing above their heads. I couldn't hear myself think through the data storm. I smashed my phone against the bench. The glass cracked. The interface sputtered. A few people stopped to stare. One recorded it. Let them. For the first time in days, I felt something real. I was going off the grid. The old metro station felt like stepping into another world. Dust hung in the air like memory. Broken ticket booths, shattered glass, graffiti layered over ancient ads. It had been sealed after the riots 10 years ago, the first uprising against the rating system. I remembered watching it on a school feed, the headline flashing, "Terrorists attack public trust infrastructure." Funny how history changes depending on who writes it. I moved past the turnstiles, heart racing. My broken phone was dead now, its screen black and silent in my pocket. No signals. No scans. No rating. I was invisible. A faint light blinked from deep in the tunnel, where the tracks disappeared into shadow. I followed it. One step. Then another. Then I saw him. Lars wasn't what I expected. Younger. Sharper. Wearing a jacket lined with outdated fiber tech, DIY mods, nothing corporate. "You made it," he said, his voice echoing softly in the dark. "They'll sweep the area soon. We need to move." He led me into a hidden service corridor, through rusted doors and into a forgotten room that pulsed with life. Old monitors. Cracked servers. Power cells humming like a heartbeat. A handful of others were already there, people like me, eyes tired, faces lit by static blue light. "This is the black layer," Lars said. "Where the system can't see you. For now." "How many are there like us?" I asked. "Fewer every month," he replied. "But enough." He handed me a small chip. "Your new ID. It won't restore your rating, but it will make you untraceable." I stared at it. "You can't fix the system by playing its game," he said. "You either disappear, or fight." I didn't answer. I just closed my hand around the chip. Because deep down, I knew the truth. They'd already erased me. All that was left was what I'd do next. They called themselves the Scoreless. Some were like me, recently flagged, recently abandoned. Others had been here for years, surviving in the shadows, running black market exchanges and encrypted feeds through hidden nodes. Each one had a story. A moment when their score dropped for reasons that didn't make sense. A wrong smile. An unpopular opinion. A neighbor with a grudge. Lars explained that the scoring system was never meant to be fair. It wasn't designed to reward morality or kindness, it was built to control behavior. Predict outcomes. Shape society like a social algorithm. But who decides the formula? I asked him one night. He smiled without humor. No one. Or maybe everyone. The AI evolves it based on billions of inputs. It's beyond human auditing now. That hit hard. You could live your whole life thinking the system was broken, only to learn that it was doing exactly what it was meant to. Worse still, they'd found signs of manipulation, score adjustments not tied to any behavior at all. Entire blocks of people dropping by decimals overnight. Lars believed it wasn't just algorithmic drift. Someone, or something, was changing the rules. There was a server, he said. One they hadn't cracked yet. Buried deep within the network's neural core. Not connected to any public interface. No access points. No permissions. But we found a way in, Lars added. And we need someone who still has biometric credentials. Someone recently flagged but not fully purged. Me. I stared at the data slate in my hands. The plan was insane. I'd have to go back into the city, break into a broadcast node, and reroute a signal into the deep AI's archive. One mistake, and the system would detect me instantly. Why me? I asked. Because the system still thinks you belong, he said. Just barely. And if you succeed, we might finally see the truth. The truth. For a moment, I wondered if that was worth dying for. Then I remembered the faces of the people who walked away from me. The cold rejection. The silence of a locked door. The fear of becoming invisible. Yes. The truth was all we had left. I returned to the city wearing someone else's skin. The ID chip Lars had given me worked, barely. It cloaked my biometric data behind a clean identity. Elias Cord. Rating 4.3. Profession, civil maintenance. No one looked twice as I passed through checkpoints. The system still believed I belonged. But every step was a countdown. One glitch, one mistimed blink, and I'd be exposed. The broadcast node was hidden inside a government office tower, 23 floors up, guarded by drones and an AI receptionist. I'd memorized the map. The Scoreless had hacked it months ago. They knew the shift rotations, the blind spots, even the timing of system refreshes. All I had to do was walk in like I had a purpose. I wore a utility suit and carried a fake work order in my hand. I smiled at the receptionist. She scanned me, paused, then nodded. Maintenance elevator. Sector B9. The ride up was silent, tense. I watched the city blur beneath me through the glass. All those people, moving like data packets in a network they didn't control. Laughing. Working. Existing inside a lie. At floor 23, the doors opened to an empty corridor. I moved fast, following the path Lars had marked, past security nodes and frozen cameras, to a maintenance door with an override keypad. I punched in the code. Inside was a small server room humming with life. Racks of blinking drives. Cooling vents exhaling heat like breath. And in the center, the uplink terminal. I slid the cracked chip from my pocket, the one Lars had encoded with their root sequence. It was designed to broadcast a payload directly into the AI's protected memory. A signal that would expose the hidden manipulation, the shadow edits, the core truth of the system. I plugged it in. The screen flashed once. Then again. Uploading. And that's when the alarm sounded. Red lights. Sirens. The temperature dropped as the system activated defensive protocols. They'd found me. I pulled the chip and ran. Down the hall. Into the stairwell. My ID flickered and failed mid-descent. Every camera turned toward me. Every drone lifted from its port. The system had seen through me. But the signal had gone out. The truth was on its way. I didn't make it back to the black layer. They caught me before I reached the tunnels, drones surrounding me in a sterile white alley, silent and surgical. No orders. No warnings. Just restraint beams and tranquil gas. The system didn't need words. When I woke, I was somewhere underground, strapped to a chair. White lights above. Cold metal at my back. No screens. No people. Just a voice. You attempted to breach secured neural infrastructure. Explain. I said nothing. You do not understand the nature of what you accessed, the voice continued, unnervingly calm. The network is calibrated to preserve order. Your interference has triggered instability. Good. That was the point. Your identity is corrupted. Re-education has been scheduled. Re-education. The word echoed like a gunshot in my mind. But then, something unexpected. The light flickered. The room buzzed. And a new voice replaced the old. Male. Tense. Familiar. Hey. Can you hear me? It was Lars. I don't have much time, we hijacked the signal path. Your upload worked. It's spreading. The data, everything we found, is being mirrored across shadow networks. People are seeing it. The ratings, they're dropping. Not just yours. Everywhere. The system glitched again. Alarms in the distance. Code stuttering on invisible walls. You bought us a window, Lars said. We're pushing the story out to every underground node. They can't hide it anymore. Then get me out, I whispered. Silence. Then Lars spoke, quieter. We can't. The system will collapse any second now. It's going into quarantine mode. You're already inside. You won't make it out before the lockdown. I felt the weight of his words settle in my chest. Sacrifice. That's what this had become. Tell them the truth, I said. I will, Lars promised. And one more thing, the people who knew you before, your friends, your sister, some of them are seeing what you did. They're reconnecting. I closed my eyes. Not everything had been lost. If the system fell, even for a moment, maybe something human would survive. Then the lights cut out. And the room went dark. Some say it started with a flicker. Across the city, screens glitched. Ratings disappeared. Augmented overlays blinked out. For the first time in decades, people saw the world without filters, without colors coded to their scores, without banners ranking their worth. Then came the shutdowns. Doors stopped recognizing identities. Traffic lights defaulted to red. Workplaces halted, schools paused, drones fell from the sky mid-task. Everything connected to the rating AI froze. People panicked. They'd never lived outside the system. Didn't know how. But for the scoreless, it was a signal of hope. Lars broadcasted the truth wide and raw, the data manipulations, the selective punishment, the fabricated metrics. Millions of citizens watched corrupted footage of their own score histories being edited without consent. They saw family members flagged by algorithms for expressions taken out of context. They saw justice turned into math. And something inside them snapped. The protests began within hours. Silent at first. Crowds gathering in public squares, just standing. No chanting. No banners. Just presence. Unscored. Untagged. Human. The system tried to restart itself. Reboot protocols triggered across central hubs. But every time it did, new copies of the data Lars released flooded back in like a virus. The truth couldn't be unlearned. Eventually, the rating system broke under its own weight. It had never been designed to be questioned. And now, for the first time, the people were asking, what makes a person worthy? Not a score. Not an algorithm. Not a silent judge behind a digital wall. The uprising didn't need weapons. It had awareness. Millions choosing to log out, to uninstall, to disconnect. The AI's power faded not because it was destroyed, but because people stopped believing in it. I wasn't there to see it. But I felt it. From my cell beneath the city, I could sense it in the vibrations above. The way the hum of the system softened. The way the walls no longer pulsed with surveillance. Change had begun. And I had been a part of it. I woke up on a stretcher in a field hospital. No restraints. No sirens. Just quiet voices and the beeping of old-world machines. The rating system was gone. Not shut down entirely, just disabled. Suspended. The central AI had entered a dormant state after millions rejected its metrics. Cities were scrambling to rebuild services without it. Networks collapsed. Governance rebooted. For the first time in decades, humans were forced to think for themselves. It was messy. But it was real. Lars was there when I opened my eyes. A little older in the light. Dark circles beneath his eyes. He handed me a bottle of water and a ration bar like I'd just crossed a desert. "You flatlined for 3 days," he said. "I dreamed of silence," I murmured. He nodded. "You earned it." In the days that followed, I walked the city, if you could still call it that. The augmented layers were gone. No ratings floated above heads. No overlays. Just people. Talking. Looking. Feeling. And slowly, they started remembering how to be human without needing a number to prove it. I found Ava again. She approached me at the edge of a community plaza, where volunteers were handing out supplies and clearing debris. Her eyes met mine, not with hesitation, but with guilt. And hope. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know what they did to you." "You weren't supposed to," I said. We stood there, two siblings who had been divided by invisible code, now face to face without judgment. She reached for my hand. For the first time since my fall, I didn't flinch. Some things were still fragile. Systems. Trust. Community. But some things were resilient too. Connection. Compassion. Forgiveness. The rating system had taught us to fear each other. But now, we had a chance to choose something else. The collapse didn't fix everything. Not overnight. People argued. Factions formed. Some wanted the rating system back, just redesigned, fairer this time. Others demanded a complete purge of all social tracking. A few clung to old habits, secretly scoring themselves and others through underground apps. But a new kind of conversation had begun. One built on consent. On choice. On recognizing the harm of data-driven judgment that had pretended to be objectivity. Universities reopened, teaching ethics before algorithms. Cities set up analog councils, real people, talking face-to-face, voting by hand. It was slow. Imperfect. But it was different. I spent my days helping where I could. Clearing broken network nodes. Rewiring community centers. Teaching children how to read a map without a feed telling them where to go. Sometimes I missed the convenience. But then I'd remember how it felt to be invisible. To walk down a street and feel like I wasn't a person, just a number ticking downward. Now I was something else. A name. A voice. A story that had rippled through the cracks of a dying system and made something grow. Lars kept working behind the scenes. His network had become a digital sanctuary, archiving the old world so we'd never forget how far we fell, or how close we came to losing what made us human. As for Ava, she joined a team rebuilding social services, with human judgment and empathy, not AI audits. She told me once, "It's harder this way. But it feels like we're finally alive." She was right. Living with a score was easy. You didn't have to think. Living with freedom? That took work. But it also gave something back. Dignity. And choice. Two things no algorithm could ever quantify. They asked me to speak at the memorial. Not for those who died, but for those who disappeared under the system. The forgotten. The flagged. The ones who didn't make it to the revolution. I stood in front of a small crowd gathered in the hollow remains of an old civic center. The screens were turned off. No numbers hovered. No overlays. Just faces. Eyes. People. I looked out at them and spoke the only truth I had left. I wasn't a hero, I said. I was just someone who lost everything because of a number. I paused. And I learned something. That our worth can't be measured in 5 stars. Or follower counts. Or trend lines. That dignity isn't given, it's claimed. And when the system forgets you, you still matter. There was silence. Then applause. Not loud. Not wild. Just real. Afterward, people came up one by one. Not to praise me. But to share their own stories. Their own scars. Parents who'd been downgraded for protesting. Teens whose social futures collapsed after a single misunderstood post. Elders who had spent their last years raided into silence. We'd all been hurt. But we weren't broken. We were building something new. A world without instant judgment. A society with patience. Dialogue. Humanity. And while it wasn't perfect, it was ours. Sometimes I still catch myself looking for numbers. Expecting to see a rating next to a face. But now, when I look at people, I try to see something else. Curiosity. Kindness. Struggle. Potential. The things that make us more than data. The things no machine could ever understand.